Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Very excited for this. To this, I was going to say to the space. I can't read you now because it's live. But very excited. Thanks everyone for joining, and it's the Hacktoberfest month, and we have one and only Eddie with us. Very popular in open source, and Eddie has been in our on our channel a lot of times. Love collaborating with Eddie. And let us know where you're joining from in the chat. We wanted to do this session around open source, and because we get a lot of open source questions, so we have compiled top 10 questions that we get, and we're going to answer those. But not just that, we talk about learning in public quite a lot. So there are so many platforms nowadays that people are active on, including me. And what we're going to do is Eddie has an amazing open source project, BioDrop. So everyone, including me, we're going to create our BioDrop profile after this session. Eddie's going to teach us how to do it. It's free for you to contribute, like open source, free for you to use. Um, so yeah, you can create your BioDrop profile and take a screenshot and share it on socials. And we'll be selecting a lucky winner to give away a Keychron mechanical keyboard. So super excited about that. Um, but actually, I had the very great idea, Eddie. First of all, would you like to give yourself a quick intro? And I'm sure everyone knows you, but people.
Thank you so much for the amazing shout out. It's always great to collab with you and geek out with you and your awesome community. Apologize for a little bit of an echo, everyone. I've just moved into apartment in Portugal and I've got no furniture in my office, so it's very echoey here. So I will work on it for next time. But a bit about me, I am full-time in open source. I'm actually working full-time on the open source project BioDrop. I'd love for you all to get involved. One, because it's super fun, and two, because open source can really help you accelerate your career in terms of your technical skills, your communication skills, building your network, and it overlaps massively with learning in public. So I'm just super excited to geek out with you today. And even if you're contributing to open source already, why not break away from those good first issues, get involved in more complicated, more challenging issues, which you can then also put on your resume, and you can talk in the interview about you worked on this pull request, these are the challenges you had, this is how you overcame those challenges and how you succeeded. And then you'll be remembered by the interviewer. Remember, they're probably interviewing like 50 or 100 people, and you want to not only do a good interview, but you really want to be remembered by them. So when they're talking to their colleagues, and maybe they can't remember your name, they've seen so many names, but they can say, the person who did that really awesome pull request. Yes, we can find them, and then we could, offer them a role. And I see that happening all the time, and we've got so many great examples of that in open source, that people are getting remote roles from US, from Europe, and they can work wherever they want in the world, and they get to work full-time on open source and get paid for it, which is awesome. You're muted, Kunal.
Sorry. I couldn't agree more. I've seen a lot of examples like this in the community, and because it's like your own portfolio, like you have proof of work using GitHub. But let's answer some of the nice questions that we had, like the top 10 questions. But before we do that, if you have any questions, I'm sure we'll answer those already, but you can leave those in the comment section below. And all the links can be found in the description as well for the BioDrop community and the GitHub and how to win the giveaway. But I'm sure Eddie will show us a little demo in the end. But the most popular question, obviously, we get is how do we start contributing to open source?
Yes, this is a very, very popular question. Everyone asks this, and I think it's normal. If you're thinking, how can you get started? And we are going to dig deeper later on how you can get more challenging and challenge yourself and so forth. But for now, let's start at the beginning. How to get started? Well, you probably might see some projects or some friends on Twitter who are talking about open source. See what projects they're contributing to. Join a community. Kunal has an amazing community. I have the Eddie Hub community. There are other awesome communities as well. Join those communities. I guarantee you they have open source projects. And I also guarantee you that you can help and add value. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, I don't really know that tech stack, or I'm new to tech, or I'm new to the community. you can use that as a superpower because you've got this fresh pair of eyes that no one else in the community has because they've already been onboarded. So you can actually go through the onboarding documentation, the quick start guide, the tutorial, and you can go through them and find gaps, things are missing, maybe assumptions are made, maybe acronyms are used. You can fork this repo. Okay, what's a fork? How do I do that? And you don't necessarily have to write all of it. You could link to a GitHub documentation or something like that. There's so many things you can do, like think small. I think a lot of people think contributions have to be massive, but to be honest, the best contributions are the smallest because they can add value or because they can get merged quicker, they can get reviewed easier, merged quicker, and add value to the community and project even faster. So don't try and make it bigger, make it as small as you can as possible, just enough to add value. So with your fresh perspective, you can really add value to that project. And once you're onboarded and once you're familiar with the project, then unfortunately you lose that superpower, but you will gain other superpowers. So don't worry too much about it. You will always have something that you can contribute to that project. I mean, you can even create content on that project, and that is adding value. And the way you get your green square for that is last year, Hacktoberfest announced non-code contributions. And so a lot of open source projects, including BioDrop, have a non-code contributions file, like a markdown file. And if you create a blog post or a YouTube video or live stream or whatever it is, you can add that to that file. And you do that via a pull request. And the great thing is you're helping the projects get awareness. It's not just about code. And also you're getting traffic from that project to your content as well. So without spamming people, it's just a natural and authentic way to help each other. It's a two-way street. So hopefully that helps. And hopefully the ones who haven't got started are going to get started today. But let us know in the chat if you have started with open source yet and Hacktoberfest, and let us know if you haven't. Like, you know, say yes you have, or no you haven't, and then we can get kind of a gauge of where people are, and I can kind of direct my answers depending on who we've got in the audience. But great to have you all here.
Guvrik is saying there's a live Apple event going on. I did not know about this. I think they're launching the new iPads. Nice.
Wow, I didn't know that was going on now. So we're competing with Apple. So a really big shout out for all of you being here. Thank you so much, Mikkel, for that amazing feedback. I can't believe we're trying to compete. This is Kunal. Kunal can compete with the Apple event, no problem.
Oh, you're too modest. All right, there's a nice question because as we get question, we'll try to answer those. It's a very nice, I think it's a good question, which is why is learning hard?
Learning is hard because it's something new, and sometimes we don't know how to learn. Kunal says this a lot as well in his content, that we need to learn how to learn. And to be honest, the only way, in my opinion, the only way you're going to do this is by practicing it, right? You know, forget kind of tutorials and tutorial hell and all that stuff. Yes, you need to watch a live stream or need to read a blog or watch a tutorial, but time box it. Don't do it for like 1 month and then say, hey, I've done something. You have done something, but you can do so much more by actually doing. If you wanted to learn how to ride a bicycle, I could tell you about it. But after a while, you need to get on that bicycle and you need to pedal. You need to maybe fall off, make some mistakes and learn from it. So with open source today, hopefully we're going to motivate you. Hopefully we're going to give you your next step wherever you are in your open source journey. And hopefully you are from tomorrow going to actually take those steps as well and maybe make some mistakes and learn from it and share it in public. You're going to be able to help people where you were yesterday. So when you learn something, if you have challenges or you have successes, share them and share them in a little bit of detail so therefore people can learn from it. And therefore you get content. I mean, we talk about open source, we talk about learning in public, we talk about creating content. I see those all as one. I mean, I only put out 40% of my content because I'm just documenting my journey. I'm not really creating content, and you all can do the same as well. It's more authentic and it will help other people as well. But learning is hard, but see how other people learn. When you collaborate with people, when you pair with people on an issue or a pull request, see how they learn. We're all learning all the time. See how they debug. Again, that's learning about debugging, about the project, about the language or tools that you're using. See how other people do it and then try it yourself. But that's the most important part. Try it yourself. And if you get stuck, which you will, ask questions. But remember, you need to ask good questions. And every question is good. But I mean, you need to give enough information about your question. If you just say, hey, I'm stuck. well, not many people are going to help you. If you say, I'm stuck, I've tried this, I'm trying to do this, I'm not sure what to try next, then you've given an example of what you tried and what you're trying to achieve, and then people can help you.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Learning is hard, but it's okay. I think if you're having fun while learning, um, then it makes things easier. Because when I'm making a project and when I'm learning new things, I really enjoyed it. I'm not saying you have to enjoy coding to get in tech. I'm not saying that. Like, some people are passionate, some people just do it for the good money, and that's fine. But if you do something you love, that's like always a plus point. Yeah. Cool.
Absolutely.
The next famous question we have is, how do you find open source projects? And I'm seeing a lot of questions, and I'm 100% sure we will not be able to answer all of those, but we'll try, because someone is asking where is the link to join the BioDrop community. All the things are in the description below. Just go to the BioDrop main website. Over there, you can also find all the links to join. So please do some research as well. Um, but yeah, all the links are in the description. But yeah, Eddie, to the question, how do you find open source projects?
Sure. So a great way to find open source projects, of course, you can search GitHub, but I don't think that is the best way, to be honest. I think that is, you're creating yourself a lot more work and a lot more risk about not finding something or finding something not friendly. So I think the best thing to do is see what your friends are contributing to, what people are contributing to on Twitter. I actually thought of creating a project where we could maybe rate some repos. Are they friendly? Are they inclusive? Are they helpful? Are they responsive? Just like kind of 1 to 5 rating. And then that's a good way for people to find projects, and they can filter by technology. Also, you're using tools and libraries and frameworks and so forth. You could contribute to those, but to be honest, they're going to be quite big. They're going to be moving quite fast. I think the best way is to join a community. And because if you're in Java, I did see something in the chat about Java. If you're in Java, then join some communities around Java, not necessarily the Java community, but maybe it could be someone you follow on Twitter has got a Discord and a Java community, or if you're in JavaScript or whatever you're in, join some of those communities. I would say join like 3 or 4 and then just watch for a couple of days, see which ones look friendly, and then focus on one. And you need to be active. To make the most out of a community is to be active. And then from that, you're going to discover the communities projects, and then you're going to grow your network and meet people. And then you're going to see what projects they've got. Trust me, you're never going to find the perfect project if you don't kind of try and then just explore some projects, and then you'll find the better projects. And also, trust me, once you've kind of discovered 1 or 2 or 3 projects, you're going to have the opposite problem where you're going to have too many projects that you want to contribute to. And that's probably a good problem to have. But you need to just take that step, and you need to just get started. I mean, BioDrop's a good repo to start with. Like I said, I'm full-time on it. We've got an amazing community and maintainers around it. It's not perfect. We could use your help. It would be super helpful if you could come and have a look at it. Like some of you are asking, where is the community for BioDrop? Well, like Kunal said, the link is in the description below. When you go to the website, is it easy to find the community? I mean, can we improve that? I mean, have a look and see, maybe it's hidden in the footer, but we should bring it up to the main nav or something like that. Let us know your feedback, and that's something that we can discuss in Discord or GitHub discussions, and an issue can get raised by somebody, and that person can either do that issue or someone else can do the issue. There's just so many ways to collaborate, and that's how all these creative ideas come about, is by collaborating with each other.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I'll update the links more if you want in the description. But
no, not you. I'm just saying people can feedback, like on the website.
All on the website.
Can we improve that?
But yeah, there's another question, which is, should I contribute to others' personal projects or only focus on contributing to companies?
Oh, this is a really interesting question. I really, really like this question. It's just brilliant. I think both. A company's project is probably going to go a bit slower, and it's going to have a lot more formalities around it, and a lot more. They're going to want you to contribute, but it's just going to be a lot more rigorous, let's say. So I would say do both. Not at the same time, like maybe do some contribute to one project, and while you're waiting to get feedback on that, you can start contributing to another. And you're going to learn different things from different projects. not only because they got different people and maybe different technologies and libraries and so forth, but just a different style of doing things. And then you'll figure out, well, I really like that style, I'm going to use that in my project. Or I don't like that style, I'm not going to use that in my project. So I recommend do both. They will go at different speeds, they will have different priorities and be run very differently. I think the great thing about community projects is they can go quite fast and they can be a bit rough and ready. Whereas a company's project is probably going to go slower and they want to kind of tick all those boxes, those extra checks and so forth. So I would say do both. Just alternate and you will learn so much more. And don't forget about your own open source projects. It might just be your GitHub profile, but you're going to learn so much by contributing to your own, because when someone contributes to yours, you get to see the flip side. You get to see when someone raises an issue that's got 3 lines in the title and the description, you're going to think, what do they mean? And therefore, when you raise an issue, you're going to think, well, I better give more detail because when I got an issue that didn't have much information in it, I didn't know what to do. So definitely look after your own projects as well. They don't have to be super popular or anything like that. But when you occasionally get an issue or a pull request on your projects, you will learn so much from those as well.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. And there's a very nice, another popular question which we had also in the top 10 questions. How do you find new issues? Because most of the times existing ones are already like assigned on GitHub to existing contributors.
That's true. And the reason why a lot of people get them assigned quite fast is because they hit the watch button at the top right. So you've got star and fork at the top right. There's also a watch button. And if you watch it, you get notified when new issues get raised and so forth. So that's how they're able to get them so quickly. But one thing we're doing on the BioDrop project, good first issues only go to that person once. So the next contribution, we're going to challenge them a bit and they can't take a good first issue again. We want them to level up to kind of the next level in issues. I can go into more details on that later on. But I would say recommend watching that. Also watch a few different projects. Like I said, projects go at different speed. The more popular ones might get the issues taken faster. Whereas when you contribute to your friend's project, it's probably moving a bit slower. You could also raise an issue. Remember, you're going to have that fresh perspective for that project, and you could raise an issue, which I think is really important. So I would try and do that as well. See what issues have been raised already. So before you raise it, make sure you do check that the issue hasn't been raised before, opened or closed. And then you could raise it and you could say, hey, if you accept this issue through triage, I'd love to work on it. And therefore, you've got an issue waiting for you once it gets through triage, and if the project accepts it.
Yeah, there's a nice question. How helpful is ChatGPT? Do you use it when you're working on open source projects?
I don't really use it at all. I think I've used it twice since it came out. I don't use it. I think I use GitHub Copilot, which is kind of, I suppose, similar in a way. But actually, GitHub Copilot caught me out today. You wouldn't believe it. I was playing with the new latest Next.js framework, and it completed something for me. And I just hit tab. I'm like, oh, brilliant. I moved on to the next part. I had this error, and I couldn't figure out what it was. And there was a mistake in what GitHub Copilot had given me, which is very rare. It is very good. So I would say be careful with ChatGPT because one, you might make the assumption that it's correct, and it usually isn't. Two, you're less likely to go look at the documentation. You're relying more on ChatGPT. To be honest, I would say go to the documentation and then go to maybe some example projects on GitHub and you can see how they've done it too. I think that's better. I wouldn't get overly reliant on ChatGPT because I think it could misguide you, is what I think. I'd love to hear what other people think in the chat. And Kuno, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't use it for like coding or stuff that much, but I use it for like day-to-day tasks. Like outside tech, I use ChatGPT.
Fair enough. That's good to hear.
But I have the app on my phone as well, so I use it for like anything but tech. Yeah. It's a good question by Dave. How to not get overwhelmed when learning in public and contributing to open source, making personal projects, and so on.
Oh yeah, this is a challenging one. It's challenging for everyone, including myself. It's really easy to get overwhelmed, especially with notifications. Like if you're learning in public, you're going to be getting more notifications on Twitter or whatever platform you're using. Same with notifications on GitHub when you're contributing to open source. And then your personal projects, if people start raising issues and so forth, and you've got ideas you want to do, I would say use your calendar, block out time in your calendar. This is what I do, and it's been a game changer. Sarah helped me with this and gave me the idea, and it's something I want to do more content on as well. So let me know if it's something you want to see. But I would say, find out when your best time to be productive is. So for me, for example, it's in the morning. So I do my more difficult tasks or things that I want to do in the morning. I'm more alert, say between 8 and 11. I think there's less notifications and things happening there as well. So between 8 and 11 in the morning, I make sure I do my harder tasks then. If I want to do some coding, work on my own pull requests. And then I move on to the kind of the next. I take a break, of course. Make sure you have breaks. Then I take on the next challenging task, which is reviewing pull requests. And then I review issues with Sarah and the maintainers. And then, for example, in the evening, if I jump all the way to the evening, I need to give you the whole full day in detail. But I do my Twitter notifications, which I really, really enjoy doing. But because I don't have to focus too much on them, I do my Twitter notifications in the evening, just before dinner. And that way I can make notes, create some more tweets from the ideas that people give me with the comments and stuff, and then I reply to as many people as I can in that 2-hour block. So that's what I do. I would say use your calendar and make sure you organize your time correctly and try it. You're not going to get it right first time, just like with open source, just like with creating content. You're not going to get it right first time. You need to try it, see how it goes, and tweak accordingly. Because you wouldn't believe it, but I used to have my Twitter notifications first thing in the morning, and I found out that wasn't very productive for me. So I switched to it.
Yeah, it's important to separate work and because when I'm out of office hours and if I have Slack on my phone, I'll still get a ping and I'll check it and then I'll spend some more time on it. So yeah, I agree. Try to find when you are most effective. And it's called focus work, like no notifications or distractions, and you're just focusing on work. Right. Sometimes you get overwhelmed by seeing large code bases of projects. How do you deal with this?
We all get overwhelmed. I get overwhelmed with my own projects as they grow with the community. So I would say focus on the area that you want to work on. Like if you want to improve, I don't know, say take BioDrop for example. You want to improve the repo section, then you can kind of forget about everything else. And when people add a repo and it appears on their profile, and then it also appears on the global repo list, then you can just focus on that area. You don't need to learn everything else. And you'll pick up things as you dig deeper into the project, which is why I always recommend to people, don't try and do good first issues from one project, then jump to another project and do good first issues, and just keep doing that, because you're never going to level up. You're never going to kind of connect and network with the community of that project and maintainers. So I would say try and focus on one project until you get bored of it, or until you want to change technologies, or until it's going too fast or slow for you, or whatever the reason. That's fine. You can always change at any time, but there must be a reason to change rather than you're just changing because you want an easier issue somewhere else. So if you keep focused on that project, whatever the project is, you can start off with a good first issue, and then you can dig a bit deeper and dig a bit deeper. And then if the community and maintainers know you're there to stick around, when you pick an even more challenging task and you say, look, I really want to pair with someone, they'll gladly jump and help you and give up their time, because they know you're there to stick around, rather than just get a green square and then jump onto the next project. So the more you invest in a project, the more the project and the maintainers and the community will invest in you. But like I said, after a while, if you want to change, then that's also fine, but don't change too often.
Cool. We're getting some BioDrop feedback. They're saying that UI can be improved a bit more. So, contribute.
Yes, on that note, we are redoing the whole front end. So if there's a bug in the UI, let us know. But if it's like a kind of a UI improvement, let's chat about it in Discord, because we are redoing the whole front end. We recently, about a month or two ago, redid the logo, the naming, and the branding and the colors. And then after Hacktoberfest, when we catch up in the next couple of weeks, we'll start on the whole redesign of the front end as well. So just don't worry too much about that yet. We will be doing some major work on that.
Yeah, just as a reminder, we're doing the giveaway as well, so you can try out BioDrop, share your own profile link. But Nitish is asking what unrealistic expectations one should avoid when contributing to open source software. I think the biggest one is it won't happen overnight, but to
Absolutely right. Kunal's completely correct. I think people think they'll get a green square, they'll do a contribution, and it's done. It's not. You've got to. I always say this. I'm going to say this again. You need to treat open source like brushing your teeth. You do it little. You need to do it and do it often. If you did open source for an entire week, entire weekend, you'll get some benefits. Absolutely. And if you went to the gym all weekend, you get some benefits as well. But the best benefits of brushing your teeth, going to the gym and open source is doing it consistently over time. It doesn't have to be every day. Whatever your kind of frequency is, that's fine. Just stick with it. So if you contribute to open source twice a week for an hour each time, that's fine. But do that for months, do that for a year, and that's where the benefits will come. And remember, it's not just about pushing code to a project. You'll get the most out of open source, and the most benefit to the project will be by doing a variety of things. At the bottom of your GitHub profile, under your green squares, you have a contributing graph, which looks like a kind of a cross, like it should be like a diamond graph. There it shows your commits, but also remember it shows your pull requests. And don't forget to raise issues as well. That's adding value to a project. And don't forget to review other people's pull requests. You can definitely see the people that think code is more important. Code's only a small part of any project. There's so many more benefits to it, and so many more skills you need to learn. So get involved. You want to be an all-round developer, tester, whatever you want to be. You want to understand kind of the bigger picture. And open source is a real-world project. And that's a great way to get real-world experience. I've seen so many companies, I've seen so many of my clients hire someone who's done open source over someone who might have better technical skills. They don't know how to communicate. They don't know how to raise an issue. They don't even know how to make a branch and resolve conflicts. And those are things you're just going to have to go through. And the best way to do that is to learn. So don't worry. If you get a Git conflict, don't worry. You can ask for help. You can try and resolve it. It's all part of the process. And there are ways to mitigate and reduce that. But yes, it's not going to happen overnight. It takes time. So don't try to do it all at once. Just little and often, nice and small.
Couldn't agree more. And because also don't get stuck in tutorial hell. So learn while contributing, because many people get hesitant, like, I'm just a beginner. Should I even contribute to open source? Maybe I should finish this course first. So yeah, just getting nice little shout outs. Okay, someone is asking, how do you create your own open source project, or how do you become a maintainer? I think that's also one of the top 10 questions we had. So
true. If I can be cheeky and just say, before we answer that question, I just see a question in the chat that says, how do you develop discipline? I would say join a community. We're all human. We all have our days where we're really excited, got loads of energy. And you've got days where, even me, where there's like, oh, I'm tired today. I don't feel like it. But being in the community, oh my God, it helps so much, because someone might say, oh, Eddie, that bug you couldn't fix. I had a look at it. I got 75% of the way there, but I can't quite finish it off. But I've solved it. It just needs tidying up. I'm like, oh my God, I'm super excited now. They solved it. Tidying up part, I can help with that. We'll like jump on a community call on Discord, and then we'll finish it off, get it merged, and my rest of my day is amazing. I'm energized and perfect. So join a community. That's how you can always have energy, be motivated, and have discipline. So go back to the original question, which I've now forgotten. Sorry, Kuno, could you remind me?
Yeah, how do we become a maintainer?
Oh, yes. So yes, to become a maintainer, there are two things. One is a maintainer of your own projects, which as soon as you make it public, you become a maintainer. There is that. I recommend doing that. And if you've customized your GitHub profile, then you are a maintainer already. You might not have many contributors, but effectively you are a maintainer. Think about the automation, think about the onboarding process, and that's how you'll get more contributors. But if you found a project like BioDrop or any other project and you want to become a maintainer, the best way to become a maintainer is to contribute to the project. I'm not saying code. We have maintainers that don't code. We have maintainers that triage issues and do all the project management side, assign issues, labels. Are they duplicate issues? Are these the same? We have maintainers who do code. Some are really experienced in back end, some more in front end, some in accessibility. There's so many ways that you can contribute to a project. And so to become a maintainer, you need to kind of almost prove that you're there to stick around. We did have a maintainer in the past who just wanted to become a maintainer to say to everyone, hey, I'm a maintainer. But they didn't want to do any of the maintainer responsibilities. And it doesn't mean you have to do them every day. We have some maintainers who only come once a month. But when they come once a month, they provide lots of value and they really help everyone. So it's about providing value consistently, whatever that frequency is. You don't really need to ask to become a maintainer on a project. If you're there providing value and helping and supporting other community members, that's really important as well. Again, it's not about commits, it's not about pull requests, it's about supporting other contributors as well. Then you'll probably get reached out to people. Like, for example, Sital joined BioDrop as a maintainer recently. Why? Did they ask for it? No. They just kept on supporting other people. And I was like, I love what you do. Can you keep doing it? But I'd love to make you a maintainer as well. So you get that maintainer badge. So yeah, just keep adding value. See what other people do. Learn from the maintainers. See how the maintainers are reviewing pull requests. How are they commenting? You could even take their comments. If you see the same comments of their reviews coming up all the time, add that to your review templates that you could do in GitHub, and then you can reuse those and tweak them each time for each person, and then you'll be using the same kind of voice, being friendly and inclusive, in the same tone as the maintainers on the project. And that's really important. Having that consistency throughout the maintainers is really hard, but a great way is to learn from others as well, not by repeating it on the same pull request, but by reviewing other pull requests first and giving feedback.
Speaking of that last point you mentioned, it's a good question around what is the best way to review a PR that is raised by someone. And while we are answering that, maybe we can also answer, how do you write a good pull request?
Sure. So we'll do the review first. So reviewing is really hard. It is really, really hard. And it's something, even years and years later, I'm still improving and learning from other people. So you can review different types of pull requests. Pull requests usually get labels. If they don't, you can go and have a look at the files changed and see if they're in the documentation, the tests, certain place in the code base, in a module or component, something like that. Choose something that you're familiar with, that will be more confident. And then you could ask questions, this looks good, but why have you done it this way? Or another one that I really love is someone who might not even understand the code base or be familiar with it might say, I understand kind of what you've done here, or I don't really understand what you've done here, but it looks similar to over here, but done differently. Could there be some abstraction done, and could there be some extracted code and used across the same, or could they be done similar? That's really important. That consistency in the code base is really important. Same in the documentation. I've seen people look at our documentation and say, well, that formatting or that style is different to what we've got on the other page. I mean, maybe the other page needs improving and needs updating. That's fine. We can raise an issue and do that later. But it's just having those important conversations, because projects get quite big quite quickly. Even though I'm full-time on BioDrop and it's not a massive project, I can't keep all of it in my head, and that's where other people reviewing pull requests really help. So yes, just by reading the pull request, seeing similarities or not seeing similarities or asking questions is super, super important. So as long as you're adding value, everyone will love you for it. And like I said, the value could be asking a question as well, linking to another pull request. Should this be done before this or after this? There's just so many things. Please get involved in the conversation, because I think everyone can really add value there. How can someone raise a good pull request? I think it's important not to talk about the specific changes. I've seen people raise a pull request and they take a screenshot of their code because the pull request says in the template, add a screenshot. That doesn't add value, because we've got the code in the files change tab on the pull request. We don't need a screenshot of the code, so that's fine. But talk about why you made those changes. Reference the issue. Explain why you did things a certain way, because usually there's like 50 different ways you can do the same thing. I would do it differently to you. Doesn't mean mine is better than yours. Mine might be more consistent in my project, but yours might be a newer, more modern, more efficient way to do it. So if you do it that way, explain why you've done it that way. If I've done it a different way in my PR, when you're reviewing it, say, well, in the documentation, it says to do this. I'm like, I didn't know about that. And that has happened many times before. People say, the newer version, they suggest not to do this. They suggest to do it a different way. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I've learned something new. Let me update my PR. So there is just so many ways that people can add value. And I think people overthink it. Don't overthink it. Just think like someone's next to you and you're chatting about something, and we can all learn together. And I think that's really important.
And speaking of pull requests, sometimes I see people make really big pull requests, and then those don't get reviewed, and then they're like, why are people not like, are they ignoring me, or what happened?
It's so true. Big pull requests don't get reviewed, and because they don't get reviewed, they don't get merged. Bigger does not mean more value. Actually means more work, higher risk, and it means more work for the maintainers and more work for you, and it might get thrown away. So if you think about something, don't do what we call feature creep on an issue. If an issue says do this, but you've got an idea, maybe mention it in a comment, ask the maintainers, maybe another issue can be raised from that. But really, an issue and a pull request should be as small as possible to add value to the project. Let me give an example. When we first started BioDrop, it was called Link-Free back then. Someone said, Eddie, you haven't got a contributing guide. Give me a month and I'll write 3 pages of a contributing guide. I was like, whoa, we haven't got a month. And if you're saying a month, it probably means 2 months. It's same with me. Everything doubles in open source in terms of the time, because we've all got work, family, whatever it is. So I said to them, why don't you create the file, the contributing file, because we don't even have a file yet. There wasn't even a file there. Create the MD file and maybe just write one sentence, something like, any questions, come and ask in the Eddie Hub Discord and here's the link. That already adds value. That's just one line, but that's adding so much value. And now we've got the file, someone else can add another line. And that's how our contributing guide grew. If you look at it, I think it's got like over 1,000 people have contributed to our contributing guide. Have they all written big PRs and pages? No. Most people have written one line, but each line has added value. So some pull requests have removed lines when they were duplicates or very similar, or it got too long and we decided to move it to somewhere else in documentation. So the smaller, the better. If there's one thing you take away from today, actually 2 things. One is get started in open source. You can't do anything wrong. Don't worry about breaking anything. The worst thing is you create a bit of extra noise for the maintainers and I'll ask you not to do whatever you did again, but you can't break anything. And 2, make your contribution as small as possible, whatever it is. If you've got 10 minutes, review someone's pull request. Review someone's issue. Have they raised an issue that is maybe a bug? Do you get the same bug? Can you replicate it? Or maybe in your browser, in your version, you can't replicate it. And that's great. That provides more information, more value. So yeah, keep it small.
Amazing. Thanks for the lovely tips, Eddie. We have 4 more questions to go. And
Awesome.
for everyone who has joined, you can check out the links in the description. You can give a start to BioDrop, join the Eddie community. And if you are looking for good first issues, want to contribute, go for it. The next question is, what if I have a feature idea? How do I communicate that to the maintainer?
I think if you've got a feature idea, check it hasn't been raised already in the issues. Do a search in the issue section. It might be closed, and maybe the maintainers didn't want it. If in doubt, raise the issue. But don't just put 3 words in the title. Don't just say, I've got an idea. It should look really nice. Right? What does that mean? We have had issues, for example, make UI better. That's just too generic. The more specific you can be about your issue, the more value it adds. And so, for example, if, I don't know, the navigation, you couldn't find the Discord link in the BioDrop website, you could maybe say, couldn't find Discord link, and the suggestion could be maybe put the Discord icon next to the GitHub icon at the top right. We might not do it that way, but you're proposing a solution which really starts the conversation. So I think it's important to think the issue is there, and even the pull request you're raising to start the conversation, and then we can see where it goes. There have been so many issues that have started the conversation, but have ended up being broken down into smaller issues or going in a different direction. And that's absolutely fine, because until we have that collaboration, we really don't know the answer. Even I don't. I start raise issues for the community to bounce ideas and discuss and so forth. But just add as much information as you can. Add a link to an example. Is there another project that's doing something really well? Add a screenshot and add a link. Remember to add a link as well if someone wants to go have a play around and have a look at it. There's so many things you can do. And then before you hit submit to raise that issue, read through it, hit preview, look at, are you using Markdown? Are you using like titles in Markdown, code blocks, links to other things? Make sure your images are loaded. The amount of issues we get raised where someone's dragged and dropped a screenshot into an issue, but then hit submit and it never finished uploading the image. Therefore, it says image, and you can see the upload didn't complete. So just hit preview, check it's all finished, check it all looks good, and that's a great way to make a good impression on the pull request, on the project, and add value to the project. And people will remember you, right? It's all part of your personal brand. We talk about personal branding on Twitter. GitHub is your personal branding as well. I haven't done a resume or an interview in over 10 years because of my GitHub. That's my personal brand. Twitter gives me a bit more reach, yes, but GitHub is the concrete information. On Twitter, I can say whatever I want, but on GitHub, people can actually see the concrete. Can I communicate well as part of an issue or part of a pull request? And that's really, really important.
Couldn't agree more. There's one thing I also relate with you. I don't have a resume.
Yes.
We're not saying don't have resumes. No, you should have a resume if you don't have a job. But you get to a point in your life where you don't need one. But yeah.
And if I can add something to that, you're absolutely right, Kunal. And I just wanted to say that if you've got a resume and you've made a really good issue, you've made a good pull request, and you've reviewed someone else's pull request, and you're proud of the conversation, and you really helped the person, then include those 3 different links in your resume. Here's an issue I raised, link. Here's a pull request I raised, link. And here's a pull request that I reviewed, link. Because I can see people trying to use that, I don't know what the expression is, but trying to seem like the smarter dev and say, oh, I think you can do this better if you use this cool feature of JavaScript. And they'll leave it at that. And then the person has to go, what do they mean? I have to Google it. Whereas if you explain more about that new feature and how you would approach it, not only are you helping that person, but you look better yourself. And those are the types of people a company wants to hire. They don't want to hire someone who wants to make out they're smarter. They want to hire someone who's collaborative. You need to remember that. There is no one person on the project in a real world project and in a company as well. Because when I hire for my clients and I look at people's GitHub's profiles, I'm not looking for what you think I'm looking for. I'm not looking at your latest code the best. To be honest, I couldn't give a shit how good or bad your latest code is. I just want to know that it's better than it was 3 months ago. That's why it's important to have that history. But what I am looking for is, how do you collaborate with other people? How do you raise issues? How do you review pull requests? Do you have empathy for the other person who's put their blood, sweat, and tears in this pull request, and you're just saying, it's not good, do it better? That's not feedback. Those are companies and projects don't want those type of people. They want someone, like I said, who has that empathy, who adds value to that project.
I think now, so this is what I mean, right? When we talk about empathy and people are like, is it relevant to software engineers? I think yes, because what you're doing is you're communicating via code, and wherever you have communication, I think empathy plays a crucial role. So you can also think about it in general with life as well. Like if you're not, if something is bugging you, I'm the kind of person I would just say it. And instead you should not ghost anyone. I think that's, if you're into ghosting, don't not do that. Similarly, as a maintainer, you should, if someone has opened a PR, you should let them know if something is wrong, hey, not working out, but also let them know what is wrong. So constructive feedback. I think that's another one. But yeah, it's pretty cool. But since we're speaking about issues, oh yeah, I love this. This is
what was that?
Oh, did you not know it? It's the new Apple feature. See?
Whoa!
There's another one. Heart. Should show a heart.
See, we're learning all the time together. Absolutely love that.
And if I do down, so it will give me rain.
That doesn't do anything. Really?
Yeah, it's like sorrow. So, come on. Hit on this because I have a bouquet. Oh, there you go.
Oh yeah! Wow.
I like it. It's very good.
It's quite funny.
But no. Yeah. Regarding issues, if someone is creating an issue, does it mean that they also have to solve it?
It's a really good question, and I think a lot of people don't raise issues because they don't want to solve it. And no, you don't. Again, remember I said contributing as small as possible. So if you've got an idea or you found a bug, you can raise it and you don't have to complete it. I mean, to give even a more concrete example, We have automated testing for BioDrop where it drives the browser and fills in forms and clicks on the button just like a user would. You don't even have to write the test to add a test. Let me explain what I mean. We're using Playwright from Microsoft to do the testing, and you can even say test.fixme and put a title in, and then you could put comments inside the test of the steps to follow. For example, if you wanted to do login, you could say test.fixme and then testing login works, and underneath that, you don't even have to write the code for the test. You could say step 1, fill in username, step 2, fill in password, step 3, click login, step 4, expect to be logged in and go to the account page. That's adding value. You haven't written the test, but you've given someone else the idea now that they can write the test, because they might not know what to write, but they might know how to actually write the test, if that makes sense. So they can see this test is marked as fix me and it's incomplete. They can see the steps that you've written in comments, and they can remove the comments and put in the code to do it. So again, it's all about just doing that little, adding value in a little bit to help the project and help people move forward. So it could be raising an issue. It could be putting a comment on an issue and saying, yep, I've got this bug too, and I'm in a different browser. That adds value so much. And I think that's what's really, really important. Remember, like a building is made up of not one giant brick. It's made up of individual small bricks. So just be one of those bricks in the building, and trust me, it plays an important role in the project. And you can add more bricks as you get time and more experience.
Yeah, and there's one last question around issues. Totally agree with that. Thanks. Thanks for sharing, Eddie. Which is how can you work on more chat? Because you mentioned like you only allow people to do good first issues once, then they're asked to like contribute to more complex issues. But that can be overwhelming for some people. So what would you recommend them? Like how would they approach a more complex issue?
I love this. This is perfect. You're right. A lot of the time, most projects have a good first issue, which is like fixing a typo or something really straightforward. And then you jump to like implement a secure authentication system with crypto and whatever. You're right. Most projects don't have anything in between. So what we've done on the BioDrop project is on all the issues, you'll notice they have points. It'll say points : 1 Fibonacci. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. And the beauty of that is good first issues are usually always 1 or 2 points. And then if you, after you've done a good first issue and you need to level up to the next one, don't pick an 8-pointer. That's going to be a massive piece of work. You could pick a 3-pointer. And then you could do a few of those and get more familiar with the project. And if you've got time and you want to stretch yourself further, you go to a 5-pointer. But if you haven't got time, you could stick with a 3-pointer or a 2-pointer that isn't a good first issue, but it usually is. My point is we have got this pointing system, and you don't know what the value or the complexity of 5 points is, of 3 points. And that's fine. You'll never know. I think only I would know because I'm the one who puts the points on. But where the benefit is, what you will know is if you've done a 3-pointer and you've got time for another 3-pointer, or you know you've got the brain capacity for that week because you've got other things going on for a 3-pointer, then you know if you pick a 3-pointer, it's going to be similar sort of level. But if you want to challenge yourself, that you know the next level up is a 5-pointer, not a 2-pointer. So you can kind of see what you're in the mood for, what your time allows, and then you can level up accordingly as well. And with the bigger pointers, we try and split them. If you see an 8-point issue and you can see a way to split it into a 5 and a 3, then let us know. We would love that sort of feedback because we try to break them down as much as possible. 1, because the progress will be smaller. 2, because we can get it to the users a lot faster.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks a lot for sharing, Eddie. Couldn't agree more. Thanks everyone for the shout outs and questions. I see we're getting a lot of other questions, but we don't have the time. And I think that's good because you can join the Eddie Hub community on Discord if you want to, learn more. But lastly, for the very few minutes we have left, I'm going to share the screen and Eddie is going to walk you through BioDrop and how you can create your own profile, because the last question is, where do you put your open source contributions, to highlight on your public profile or when you do learning in public. So Eddie can show you how to work with BioDrop. So you can create your own nice profile like this. I'm going to do mine as well. And
Awesome.
then we'll select a winner for the Keychron keyboards. Eddie, take it.
Sounds good. Okay, awesome. So this is my profile on BioDrop. You can see that I put my name. I've got some quick shortcut links, and I got my bio, which I've got marked down. So you can mark down to that as well if you want. And I got some tags. So the tags are so I appear in search. You can add those as well if you want. And this is how it started off with my links. You don't have to group them together. You can just have a list of links, but I've grouped them together. So that's what you can do. I'll show you how to create this in a moment. And then I've got my milestones, so my achievements. And this is what I've got at the moment. And I've got some testimonials, so you can add testimonials to people. You can choose which testimonials appear on your profile. I've also got the events coming up that I'm going to, some virtual, some in person, and they also appear on the events page. I've also got the repos that I'm, want to show on my profile. I think actually maybe you give me, talking about this with you all, you give me an idea. We should maybe allow us to pick maybe some pull requests, as we said, and some issues that we're really proud of. Maybe that can be pinned at the top of this tab as well. But these repos will also appear on the overall repos of everyone else's. So I can quickly show you that as well. So if I click on events, this is all the events. You can see these are different people, but 2 people are going to the events. They both shared there's the same event. And you can click on free events or paid events, or if CFPs are still open if you want to submit. And so my event should be down here somewhere. Here's mine as well. Same with the repos as well. It lists the repos. These are the people who have added this repo to their profile, and by default it's in favorites order, but you could do it by recently updated or stars or something like that. I mean, one idea as well that you all might be thinking is on the events, it had people's pictures, not just their usernames. Maybe on the repos, we should do something similar and put their pictures as well, instead of just their usernames. Or maybe make the username clickable. So there's so many improvements that we can do. And by you just playing with the project, you can come up with ideas, find bugs, and so forth. So there's 2 ways that you can create a profile. If you want to get a green square, you can go to the documentation and you can click on create profile. Oh, you can find it in documentation, or you can go directly to the one which is create your profile with JSON. And we have a YouTube video on it, and we have documentation on how to fork the repository, and all the way down to the bottom on what sections, what links you've got, milestones and so forth. Come all the way down here. There should be a complete example. This is what the JSON would look like. And you would add that, and you can create your profile. These are optional, like the socials are optional, testimonials are optional, milestones and stuff are optional as well. But that's how you can create it, and you can do that with a JSON file. But for those of you who have got enough green squares, or you want to do different types of contributions, you can log in with GitHub, go to account, and then you can manage your profile. And as you normally would with a form, you can just edit it here, add tags and stuff like that. You can add links, reorder them, whatever you need to do, milestone events, testimonials. When you get testimonials, you can tick them on and off to appear on your profile or not, and stuff like that. And same with repos. So there's 2 ways you can add your profile. Once you start with forms, you can never go back to JSON. But note that the new features like repositories are not in the JSON file. So you can start off with the JSON file, but eventually you will move to forms to get the newer features. So there's a couple of ways you can do that. And the community are super supportive and helpful. So if you do it with JSON, you need some help, let us know. But we do have some pretty good docs on that. And then you can kind of see what rank you are. You can see how many profile visits you had the last 30 days and stuff like that. Total profile visits and how it's going per day. And what links are more popular as well. And you can even kind of click on the link and see how it's been. That was a good day for me. I'm guessing today will be a good day as well because of Kudar's live stream. But we're adding more and more features all the time. And yeah, we would love you to come and geek out with us. Like I said, the UI is going to get completely revamped over the next 4 to 6 weeks as well. Oh, I didn't show you search. We've got search. So you can find people. These are recently updated profiles. So it's just to encourage people to keep their profile up to date. But you can also search for people, or you can search for technology. So search for JavaScript. And these people are have JavaScript tags. You can see it's highlighted. We've also got like a map as well. So this is the map of all the people as well. So you can kind of, go down and see where people are. It's great to see where people are in the world. And you can filter by tags if you want to know where the Python people are, stuff like that. There's just so many things you can do, and everyone's being super supportive. It's always great to geek out everyone. So I hope that helps, and look forward to seeing you in BioDrop. And thank you so much for the idea of having it so you can maybe pin a pull request or an issue that you're really proud of.
Amazing. Well, thanks for joining, Eddie. And we're going to be doing some Keychron keyboards giveaways as well. So if you want to win one of those, so you can sign up to create your own profile using BioDrop and share a screenshot and tag BioDrop. All the steps can be found in the description below. And I believe we're about time, so we're going to wrap it up. Thanks for joining, Eddie, and always fun geeking out with you.
Always great to geek out with you. Can I answer Mikhail's question, because it's a really good question? To write testimonials, at the moment we don't have a way to write a testimonial through BioDrop forms. You actually raise an issue on the repo and it adds it to the project with a JSON file. So you get a green square for giving someone else a testimonial. That's why I'm keen to keep it on GitHub at the moment. It does appear in the app. It will add it to the system and get loaded into the database. But at the moment, you just click on the new issue, and there'll be a testimonial one. Your name should pre-fill, and you can just write something for someone. So it's a great way to get green square and to appear on someone else's profile as well, to get traffic to your profile. It's kind of almost like a social geeking out place. Sorry, Kuno, I just wanted to answer that because it's a really good question.
No, it's a good question. And I think we went through most of those, but it's really fun, and this is being recorded so you can watch it later on. And just year is about to end, so have a good rest of the 2 months. And I'm very excited. If you're going to be at KubeCon, I'll be at KubeCon, and I'll be at Cube Day India in December. If anyone wants
to see where I'm going. So Kuno, if you bring my screen back up, I can't wait to see your screen so we can see where we're going to bump into each other. So this is in my profile. If I go to events, these are the ones I've got lined up at the moment. I need to add a couple more. But yes, I look forward to seeing your profile and what events you're going to, so I can discover new events and maybe have some overlap with you as well. It's a great way to meet people in person. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, very excited. See you there. And by the way, I'm posting DSA videos quite a lot now. I posted 4 last night. I'll post 1 more after this video. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I'll post 3 or 4 more tomorrow. But have fun. And I'll see you in the next one. Have a great day. Bye.
That's awesome. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining.